One of the things I was thinking about was leadership and bottlenecks that come up in our leadership, but sometimes it's it's we getting in our own way. Somebody said that to me, David, you just need to get out of your own way. Like you got like all this talent, this rawness that like you can bring to the table, but you're stopping yourself. And so
Mm.
I've seen that. I know that in my life, but Julie, maybe I'll send it over to you. What's your take? Like, how do you, whatever you want. This is an open one.
Yeah.
Getting out of your own
Well,
way. What's coming
getting
up?
out of your own way. Well, first, there's two things that come to mind when I think about getting out of our own way, right? And that's the story we tell ourselves and the processes we have, right? In those two places, I probably can address almost every problem that you have. But the most important thing is, first of all, this. And I always say that the story you tell yourself about yourself is the most important story you will ever tell. And that story that you tell yourself about yourself gets in the room before you do. And so that story better be a good story. Otherwise, you're going to be defeated just getting in the room. And I talk about this a lot because a lot of us small business owners need to be the brand and the voice of our company. But if you're not able to get on camera, if you're not able to take the mic, then you've lost the ability to really shine and for people to get to know you without having to spend time with you because now you can spend time doing videos, being on podcasts. I've been a podcaster for 3 years. 3 years I've been podcasting and building a personal brand for myself. And so it's like, if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have had that social proof of what I do. And so we talk about this a lot. And a lot of people get stuck in the, oh my gosh, I look fat. I don't like the way my voice sounds. I, people are going to say mean things to me. There's so many reasons. And I'll end with this point. We could circle back to the process thing, but I just did a session yesterday. I was on a networking call and we talked about the power of saying yes. And the idea here is that, you know, I tell people what my mother used to tell me. And she used to say to me, Julie, you're not that important. People are not thinking about you as much as you think they are. So just cut it out and do the thing because nobody cares. Like we think that everyone's thinking about us, but everyone's only thinking about themselves. That's the real truth. And so if we frame it out like that, and we're doing it to serve someone else. Like we're really doing, we're out there in the world, we're sharing our voices because we're serving. And if we put the like attention back on us, that just becomes us as being a narcissist. Like, oh, it's all about me. It's all about me. It's not about you. It's about the service that you're providing to the audience and what you're giving out to the world. So I'll leave it to there and I want to hear what you think about all that.
No, I love it. Julie, it's not about you. Mike, it's not about you. David, it's not. I mean, that as you started to share, I was thinking about those prior and they still come up, like the limiting beliefs, the limiting identity we have about ourselves. Like, I'm not good enough. I can't do this. Who am I to be a leader in this room? Kind of thing. Like those things are in the head. And I've done a lot of work to help with that. And as you were sharing, it's it's also thinking about how do we decide to shift our identities as well. And I'd love to get into that also because sometimes a leader is like a leader inside, but they haven't let it come out in
Yeah.
some ways as well. And I was listening to it's a similar Alex Hormozy. I love to listen to some of his stuff, but this morning he said I used to care so much about what people think. And then I realized they have zero concern for me and what I'm doing. Like, but Mike, I'll give it over to you. What are you thinking about this topic? Where do you come in?
Well, David, I'm thinking about a story that you've heard from a mutual mentor of ours who always says, if you hand somebody a group photo, who do they look for first? They look for themselves first. They want to see what they look like, which is interesting. Um, we spend a lot of time focusing on what we think people think. And a good bit of the time we're wrong. They're not thinking about anything other than themselves at all and what they need. But the whole identity thing is something that I can really relate to because I went through quite a period of time when Mike was trying to figure out what he wanted to do when he grew up. Having my identity tied to what I do, not whose I believe in. And so commonly, specifically in a business environment, right? People ask your name, then they ask you what you do, and then inadvertently their mind starts going, oh, he's an attorney. He's got a $2 million house and a three cars sitting in the driveway that are worth $100,000. We start playing this little game with ourselves. But the reality is our identity should not be tied to what we do. And in my case, once I made the connection with where I was at in my faith-based journey, everything changed virtually overnight. And I began to care less about what people thought about me. And it was like an elephant stepped off my back. And I think too many of us go through life worrying about what kind of car do I drive? What does my house look like? What does my hair look like? Is my makeup right? All these things that most people really aren't paying close attention to. And I would dare say the people that are paying close attention to those people are probably not somebody you want to surround yourself with in the first place.
Yeah. There is this theory about adult growth and development. And so when you look at, there's this guy, Robert Keegan, he wrote a book called Immunity to Change. And what he does is he tells you the stages of growth, right? And as leaders, we need to be something what he calls self-authored leaders. And a self-authored leader is somebody who can kind of step outside of what everyone else is thinking and think for themselves, right? It's this going back to Stephen Covey's begin with the end in mind and being able to design the life that you want. Okay. So when you're able to design the life you want and to sit in a place of authorship of your own life, you are able to kind of quiet all the other noise because now you're on purpose. Now you're on mission. Now you're on point with what the bigger picture of your life is, right? I believe at the end of this thing called life, we have this thing called the life review, right? Whatever religion you're believing in, right? Somewhere we're going to meet the person who created us, right? And what are you going to say at the end? And I don't know, I have this like belief system that we're here for purpose, like we're here on purpose. And when you find out what that is, it puts you in a place of leadership because now you're operating with different principles than the old. Like, oh, what are they going to think? What am I going to do? Like, no, you're sitting in the driver's seat now. You get to take the wheel and direct that as much as you can. Different people, different belief system, right? God is leading the way. Yeah, he might be leading the way, but you're holding the wheel, right? You're still holding the wheel of your life, and you need to create it in such a way that makes sense for the bigger picture. And at some point in the phase two, like that's what we're all talking about. We're talking about this phase two, is that we become very purpose driven. Otherwise, we wouldn't be sitting in the phase two, right? Because we'd still be in the phase one. Phase two is about service. And it's about like having gone through the thing that we went through. Like I went through my own personal, like, I don't want to call it hell, but like my own journey to where I am now. I mean, I can only sit in this place because I went through some stuff. So